I watch good TV shows. I swear, I promise. I just for whatever reason choose to do a lot of videos on my channel on shows that aren't very good. While I will say American Horror Story season 2 is better than season 1, does that mean it's good? No, it does not. Sadly, but there are some good ones in here. So we're gonna rank our do an episode rating ranking, and we're going to start with worst and then go to best, obviously. So to me, the worst one, I know a lot of people would say Milkmaids, but for me, it's got to be Drive. I think this episode suffered from what a lot of these do, of course, but just the worst here of characters acting or doing certain things to subvert the audience into a twist. But then once you get the twist and you really think back on it, you're like, whoa, wait a second. And then you think and you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't really even make sense though. And yeah, that's just, this episode was terrible for that. Plus, I mean, I don't really like Bella Thorne as an actress. I don't know why. Something about her just rubs me wrong. It's just what it is, right? But also, I was, this is one of the only episodes you'll rarely catch me doing this TV shows because I love TV shows so much. But I was checking my watch like, oh man, this was dragging by. So it did have some good gore in the end. I'll say that for most of all of these. They do have some good effects. And yeah, gore, things like that. They can drop the F-bomb in this American Horror Stories. I guess that's because it's on a streaming service. I don't remember them doing that on FX live TV. Anyway, next on my list will be Milkmaids. I'm kind of debating if I'm like trying to just go with the... I actually don't have a tab pulled up for Milkmaids. But I don't know if I'm like going with the majority for this one. And that's why, because I know a lot of people hated this one. I actually enjoy this one as like just a kind of stupid thing to put on, you know, and just kind of laugh at how bad it is. This one shouldn't be American Horror Stories. It should be American Gross Stories, by the way, because this one is just so sick and disgusting. But I do like the setting for it, at least. The Witch Salem type setting is always just naturally creepy, even though they made it as uncreepy as possible in this. And then as well, I do like kind of the way it's based in a little bit of reality and fact about how they discovered the cure for cowpox or whatever. I was briefly looking up about it. So that's cool. So I may want to put this one a little bit higher than my next two, but it feels all right at a number 7 spot as well. And then, so number 6 will be Lake, which I just watched. I keep meaning to look up who this actress is. She looks so familiar to me. But yeah, Lake. This one suffered terribly, I think, again, from the convoluted, like, we just need characters to act this way to get to where we're trying to go. Of course, I can't go in too detailed with these, otherwise I'd be sitting here all night, but in particular, the the end where the dad is like a part of this evil corporation, you know, and they're like, oh, dad, you're fucked up for working for them because they're evil. And it's like, I mean, it can't be that deep, you know? The way they're pointing fingers at the dad, like, oh my God, you did this the whole time? It's just like, this is just ridiculous, you know? Whenever the dad's not sitting there, some mustache twirling asshole, he's just going to work and doing his job, you know? And then she didn't know, the wife didn't know that he was like fucking his family history, his bloodline or whatever, when it's who she's fucking married to for like 20 years, presumably. Yeah, just ridiculous. So that one definitely, I think, deserves number 6. Number 5 is Facelift, which I could see this one boring some people to fucking tears, because this one is, nothing happens looking back at Facelift, in all honesty. This one could have been cut down to like 20 minutes, but I wasn't as bored during this one as I was with Drive, but still. I guess I do like the ending, you know, I guess there's a message behind it with the beauty and stuff, and her getting hunted down in the woods, like she looks like a pig. That's like, I guess symbolic in some way. But at the same time, just the build up to get there, like I said, 20 minutes could have done this one just fine, because looking back at it, nothing happens of the horror variety up until the last 10 minutes. So yeah. But again, it's just so weird with the pacing of these, because if you had this episode and you knew it was going to be an episode of like multiples touching on this storyline, then it might be fine. But because you got to get this whole thing wrapped up in like 40 minutes, it's like that's all we got from this. You know, it's just weird doing short stories. It's tough, but they can still definitely do much better in some places. Okay, so next we got Aura, which I was excited about because doorbell cams just creep me out in general. The footage and stuff I've seen on YouTube of doorbell cams and whatnot. So that led into some of my disappointment with this one again because I had such high hopes and it was like just all right. I'm sure this one fucks with the lore for the ghost in American Horror Story overall, but yeah, again, just kind of convoluted a little bit and just disappointing. Not as scary as I would have wanted it to be for something like this. So that is number 4. Number 3 will be Bloody Mary. Yeah, this one was pretty damn good, although I'll say it's just the initial concept of it. Does anybody think that Bloody Mary grants wishes? Is that just like something that I was a teenage boy, not a teenage girl, so maybe teenage girls think that. I don't know. But yeah, so I do like the twist at the end of this one. It yeah, hit pretty hard with the whole twist all between the two sisters killing one for the, you know, power because they'd always grow up poor, you know. And this one introduces an element that I really liked back in season 3, so it kind of lifted it up to me, which is weird to say, but I love the slavery stuff in American Horror Story. It sounds fucked up. Slavery was terrible, but Ryan Murphy, American Horror Story, whoever, really brings it to the forefront of, wow, it wasn't just like a horrible thing that happened. It was actually like terrifying, like scary. You could make horror movies off of this stuff, you know. And yeah, so that is Bloody Mary at number 3. And don't get me wrong, I'm not, there were problems throughout these episodes that I just don't have time to touch through here, like maybe some of the dialogue and stuff with this one. I don't know, but just as a general thought, that's what I got. Number 2, I already did a whole video on Dollhouse, so I'll link that somewhere probably. But yeah, I like the backstory, the way it connects to Coven, and I know some people have problems with that. I haven't just freshly seen Coven, so maybe if I had have and then I watched this, it would have been a problem. But I like the way the characters act, you know, real and smart in this one, and it feels like a real situation that they could be in for the most part. And so yeah, that's Dollhouse for me. Like I said, if you want more of my thoughts on this one, then you can just watch the other the video that I made for it. And lastly, we have Necro. I cannot understate how much I actually enjoyed this episode. I think the characters were, it was 40 minutes. It just shows you, depending on how the story is structured and paced and what you get, it can either feel like, you know, it took forever or just took a little bit. And this episode felt like a movie, but in a good way, where it felt like everything was developed, set up, not rushed, not convoluted just to fit in there for the most part. And so yeah, and this scene featured some of the just craziest, whoever thought of this is just sick, craziest concepts to me. The drinking your dead mother's breast milk, if that's even possible, I don't know, but I can overlook it. And then her fucking the corpse, but you know, she had the connection with the guy, you know, so it wasn't quite weird like that, like it looked to everybody else like she just probably fucks corpses every day. Just such a sick scene. Getting broadcasted to everybody at the wedding or whatever. Her friends in this episode, that's my only complaint. Her friends were really stupid and annoying. They were like, oh, quit your job. Then she quits it, and they're like, oh, you weren't the same after you quit your job. What the fuck, you know? But yeah, and the characters just act within ways, like I can see her, like, yeah, grabbing a gun. Everybody's shunning her for the most part. She can't get a job. And, yeah, the characters were just built up so well and fleshed out to the point where you can believe most of the things that they're doing. I mean, pretty much, yeah. And just such a sick concept. The ending was already set up. They had already kind of talked about something like this happening, where two lovers buried themselves alive together, and then you actually get to see that. And it was a twist that got me. I was thinking of multiple ways to end it. I was like, when I was watching, I was like, okay, they could do this, they could do that. But what they actually did, maybe other people saw it coming. I did not. But I was like, okay, that was way better than anything I could have hoped for. This is awesome and makes sense. for the most part. I mean, you got to suspend your disbelief with some things. But yeah, this episode took it up a notch, you know, a notch of yeah, this shit was solid. And I really enjoyed it. Maybe one of my favorite American Horror Stories, or definitely my favorite American Horror Stories episode, and maybe one of my top ones for the whole series in general. It really combined what American Horror Story is all about, right? It's all about horror, and for some reason, nobody's really ever understood it, but Ryan Murphy loves to make it all about sex, you know? So yeah, necrophilia, and it was executed perfectly. Love this one. I could probably make a whole video about it, but trying to keep this short. So definitely let me know what your ratings are for these episodes and what you think of my list. And that's about it. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.